Kia ora, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of The Drop Clutch with me, Ricky V. In this series, I'm interviewing as many metal drummers from around New Zealand as I can get to, just to try and get an insight into what makes these guys and girls tick. Now, I am breaking a little bit from the mold in that my guest tonight he's not necessarily a metal drummer, but he is still a fantastic drummer from a band that I'm really fucking enjoying at the moment. I have James Porteous from the Sun Gods. James, how we doing, bro?
Thanks for having me, man.
No worries at all, James. Thank you for being on my show. So to get us started, James, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about the Sun Gods. Give us a bit of a rundown, please.
Oh, gee, Sun Gods. Sun Gods was originally started, myself and Conrad, the lead singer and guitarist. We've been playing together since we were 18, 19 years old. Um, we originally sort of met up on a rock shop classified ads.
Oh, sure.
Um, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we actually have a history of it's going on 20 years now. So it's a long history.
Wow.
I don't know if you want the scenic route or the short route.
Oh, abridged is fine. Abridged is
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. But basically, yeah, we had a band together. Conrad was in university. We played a whole lot of university gigs, and then we both headed off overseas. And I think, yeah, that was about 2007 to 2009. And then 2015, we sort of found our way back towards each other and ended up recording a new EP in Melbourne. And Conrad was living there until 2020, right before COVID. And
Oh,
so we recorded two EPs together in Melbourne before he moved home. And it wasn't until he moved home that we started really taking it seriously and, started sort of making the music that we've been making now. The last EP that we recorded was Scott Seabright at Roundhead, sorry,
sure.
in 2022, I think.
Okay.
That's when we started really taking a serious approach to our music. So yeah, that's a brief description.
Sure.
Um, and
Sure.
then we're up to now. We're currently recording our debut album with Nathan Souter out of Tauranga at 11B Studios. So um, things are going really well. Yeah, we're about two-thirds of the way through an album. Um, and we're just pumped. Like every recording session we have, we're just more and more pumped. So that's a brief description anyway.
Sure.
I'm not sure how good it is. I'm not the best at describing our band, but
Sure. No,
yeah.
that was fine. You guys have only just released or I say only just, you've just released a music video a couple of weeks ago. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Cast the Rain, yeah. Yeah, that was probably the first song that we've ever written that I think I stepped back and I was just like, holy shit, like this is really, really good. And
Mm.
then we took it to Nathan, our producer, and that was probably the first time we've taken a song to him, and he's been like, "Yeah, this is a good song. I don't want to make any changes." So we're like, "Oh,
Oh, yeah.
that was a bit of a shock." He
Awesome.
was really happy with it. So and that's really good because one of the things I like about Nathan is he doesn't hold back at all. Like if he thinks something's really shit, he won't hesitate to tell us, and that's the whole reason why we actually hire him as a producer because we wanted someone to tell it. We literally wanted someone to tell us, "Hey, that idea is really shit," you know, and and he doesn't hesitate in that regard. So it's been really good having that sort of voice there to say, "This is shit. This is good." And he was like, no, this is really good. So we recorded it pretty much as it was. Um,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, so yeah, what you see is what you get. And yeah, and the video itself, Anne-Marie Connors recorded the video or directed the video, so to speak. And oh God, she just had such a phenomenal crew of people who helped out and just I think made this really great video. Yeah, we're just so happy with it. The way it came out, Anne Marie's vision and her direction, everything that came across for the video was just perfect. So we're really wrapped with the product that came across. Yeah.
Fantastic. Getting a little bit more onto you and your drumming, can you tell us what actually got you started drumming and how long you've been doing so?
Yeah, sure. So I think once again we'll take the scenic route. I think it was when I was like 13 or 14. A friend of mine at school, he gave me this mixtape sort of CD from what do you call it? Lime
LimeWire?
yeah, yeah, from LimeWire.
Holy shit.
And up until that point, like the only thing I'd really listened to was I was a massive Michael Jackson fan and I loved R&B and um I grew up in a bar. My parents owned a restaurant and bar, so I grew up listening to like Rolling Stones and The Doors and that sort of stuff.
Oh, great.
And so I didn't really have any sort of introduction to rock music. And then my friend made me this mixtape and it had I can't remember all the bands, but it had Slipknot and System of a Down and Drowning Pool. But the biggest thing I remember from it is it had the song Sick by Slipknot. And I remember
Mm,
hearing it for the first time. And when this, the part where the song kicks in,
yeah.
the whole thing I think is sick. And then dun 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 dun. And I was just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, what is that? I was like, what is this? This is awesome. Um, and that really yeah, that really hit me. That really hit a chord. Like that like I remember like calling like because I grew up in a small town called Tyra. And I remember and I'd only just recently moved to Auckland. So I remember calling friends in Tyra and I remember putting a CD into my dad's car and talking on the phone to my friends and playing it to them, playing sick to them and be like, can you hear that? Can you hear that? That's fucking amazing. Like, that's how taken away I was by this one particular song. But the rest of them as well, like, System of a Down with Chop Suey and I can't remember what else was on it, but like it was like Drowning Pool, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, and
Mm,
that was just like a whole new different level of music that I was used to,
sure.
Um, yeah, I was just taken away by it. And I think that's where the real passion for music came from. Like I was super passionate about music and I knew I wanted to be a part of it, but I wasn't sure what part I would take exactly. Like I don't know if I wanted to play guitar or sing or whatnot. Um, and then it was I think the following year when I was randomly watching, I don't know, it could have been MTV or something, but I saw the blind spot video for Neil by Mouth,
Mm,
and
yeah.
that was just a complete the song itself, but also the way that Shelton Woolright was playing the song. I was just like, that's it. Like, I want to play drums. Um, there was something about that fusion of the hip hop because I came from an R&B background, the hip hop and the rock. Um, yeah, it went from being passionate to being obsessed, basically from that point. Yeah.
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
was completely yeah, so I was completely obsessed with this album by Blind Spot. I think particularly because the orchestral elements that that album had, I was always prone to that sort of stuff. Like I really loved growing up in a bar, like I loved like the Moody Blues.
Sure.
Um yeah, were a big one. And it was something about this album that really grabbed me. So I decided, yeah, I'm gonna play drums. And yeah, sorry, once again, I'm taking the scenic route on my story. Um so yeah, begged my dad for drums, and he just said no, because drums are $2,000. So no,
Mm.
I can, yeah. But he did buy me a practice pad,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, and so I'd bang away on this practice pad as much as I could, listening to Blind Spot's self-titled album, and listening to the rock top 10 each night at 9 p.m. I think it was. I could listen to the radio, and yeah, basically that was my start in drums. Yeah,
Sure. So about 14, you started playing.
yeah, it was about 14 or 15. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sweet as. Cool. Now moving on. Who, James, who are some of your favorite drummers, and whose style do you think has influenced your playing the most?
I think, well, Shelton Woolrights has obviously had a big impact on me because that was the first player that I saw and heard, and I was just like, "Yep, that's what I want to do. I want to play drums."
Yeah.
Um, but there's been a lot more. I mean, the first time I heard Deftones, Abe
Mm,
Cunningham,
yep.
um, the first the first time I heard the song "Be Quiet and Drive," that was another song that really hit me, and I think his playing and his finesse and especially around the hi hats, songs like "Digital Bath,"
Yep.
um, that's just really hit me a lot. Yeah, and that leads me on to like Stuart Copeland. I mean,
Oh, fuck yeah.
the police. Yeah, the police are. I mean, I've got this box set of the police of every recording they've ever made, and I've just completely digressed every element of it. Like the finesse of the hi hat that Stuart Copeland uses. I mean,
Mm,
yeah, it's always stuck with me. Yeah, I've just loved it. And Jose Pasillas of Incubus,
oh, fuck
another
yeah.
one. Yeah,
Fuck
yeah,
yeah.
just yeah, he's I think my dream kit is actually one of his because he uses like the short stack toms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're like 4 inches or something. Yeah, just the sound of that on Incubus Alive at Red Rocks when he does the drum solo stuff. I'm just like, oh, that's my dream kit. Yeah,
Sure. Fair enough.
yeah, yeah.
Following on from that, if you can narrow it down to one, can you tell us what has been your favorite drum performance that you've seen live?
Ooh. Um. Hmm. Interesting question. Uh. Ooh. You might have to give me a minute on this one. I've
Okay.
seen a few. I've seen a few. Um. I'd probably have to say seeing Incubus at oh, where was it? I think it's Spark Arena in 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah, probably one of the most precious moments where I heard my favorite song by Incubus, and just watching the way the band interacted with each other.
Okay.
Um yeah, that was really special to me. Yeah, I yeah, that was the first time I probably thought of sort of stood back and I was just like, wow, that's like a band that are really they really know what each other is doing and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, and that
Sure.
was yeah. So that performance, yeah, and then just Jose's performance on drums. I mean, when he does that solo after Vitamin, I mean, in conjunction with Brandon Boyd doing the djembe. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
Nah.
yeah, so like it's Brandon Boyd on djembe, and then Ben Kenny, the bassist, plays like a mini kit. So he's got like a 10-inch piccolo snare, and then
Oh,
some
yeah.
mini hi hat, and they just do this drum solo or soloette sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. Um, yeah, that was the first time I was just like, wow, yeah, that's one of the best performances I've ever seen. So
Oh, well, I will
yeah,
definitely need to look it up. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Moving on from that, this one here is something that has been a little bit more difficult for some of the drummers that I've asked to answer, which is exactly why I keep asking it. Tell us, James, how would you describe your style?
Uh, my style is very simple, to be honest, man. Like it's groove bass, it's heavy. I try to put as much aggression as I can into my playing. I try to let I honestly try to let the guitar and the lyrics speak more than anything for the music. And in terms of our music, anyway, I try to sit back. I for numerous reasons. Number one being, I enjoy it more. I enjoy sitting back and not doing terribly much, and I
Sure.
don't mean that in a lazy way. I mean that in a way that our band seems to impact people more when we are more of sort of performance based. But that has its doubts as well. Like I mean, you've heard "Chaos of the Rain." I mean,
Yeah. Fucking banger.
that's yeah. Thank you.
A fucking
That's a
banger. It
classic.
really is.
That's a classic example of So uh, the bridge where it's just da 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 da. That's all I was gonna do for it. And then Nathan, our producer, he was like, "Oh, there's room for you to do like fills and stuff in there." And I was just like, "Oh, yeah." He's just like, "No, you have to do fills in there." So he kind of made me,
Sure.
and then I came up with some sort of fills, and but that's one of the things. I like when me and Conrad first started the Sun Gods in 2015. I feel like I became like a little bit of a lazy drummer. Not because I couldn't be asked, like put an effort in, but I just felt like because we're a two piece that it required me to just be heavy but not too aggressive or oversimplistic or anything. Um, so I would just play simple and I wouldn't put any thoughts into anything like fills or whatnot. So since we're working with Nathan, that's when he's really pushed me to like put in fills and that sort of stuff. So he really pushed me on Chaos of the Rain. He was just like, no, there's room for fills in there. And I was just like, oh yeah. And then like, yeah, Nathan's one of those guys, like, I don't want to let down. Like, I don't know if you know the backstory about Nathan, but Nathan's actually from a band called Take the Willing. I'm not sure if you know them, but
No.
yeah, like huge, in my eyes anyway. They're like one of the biggest metal bands of our time. They put out an album in 2006, and they supported Blind Spot on the road, and they just recorded this incredible album. So yeah, here we are recording this album with one of my idols really, and he's just telling me, put drum fills in there. I'm like, okay. I'll do whatever you tell me to do.
Sure. Sure. Fair enough. Well,
Yeah.
it's good to have somebody pushing you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
fair play
Sure.
to what was Nathan's surname? Sorry?
Nathan Salter, yeah.
Salty.
So
Sure.
he's yeah, he's yeah, one of the reasons we chose him is I knew he's a record producer, and I knew he's working with a lot of hardcore bands, and obviously he had produced his band's album, which is one of my favorite metal albums of all time. So I knew of him, but then I found out he was producing these pop artists. So that's what made me think like, oh, there could be something in that because we're sort of prone to the Sun Gods are prone to melodic choruses.
Sure.
So I asked Conrad before we started recording the next set of songs. I said, why don't you go talk to this guy Nathan and feel him out and they got along and here we are now and we've got this amazing relationship which is just yeah the way Nathan pushes us and yeah it's just awesome, man. Like he's like another member of the band, so it's just been fucking awesome to be honest. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great to hear, man. So,
Yeah.
speaking of, can you tell us what the writing process for the Sun Gods is?
Yeah, it's so for the most part, like Conrad will come to the table, he'll have like a chorus and a verse, for the most part. Uh Other than that, like we'll just start off from scratch in the studio and just sort of come up with a simple sort of idea. Um and then whatever we come up with, Conrad will take that away and he'll build upon it.
Okay.
And then yeah, and then we'll bring it back to the table and then we'll work it out. So it's always different each time. I mean, Chaos of the Rain, for example, Conrad pretty much wrote that all by himself. I think he just had some different timing for the choruses from memory. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, like he'll usually have a verse and a chorus, and then we'll work out something in between. And sometimes that comes together really quickly. Sometimes, as you probably know, it takes ages.
Yes, all too well. All too well.
Yeah, we so a friend of ours, Dave Johnson from Villainy, I don't know
Yep,
if you know, but
I've heard of
yeah,
them.
he yeah, he drew us on the idea of if you're gonna focus too much time on a song, just scratch it and move on to the next one and write 100 songs and then come back and pick out the best ones.
Mm,
And that's kind of like an ideology we've like worked across, for 3 years now. Like, if it's not working, we'll just scratch it and we might come back to it later.
sure.
Um, so, whereas I think earlier on in our like band, we would have an idea and then we like sort of come to a standpoint and we'd be like, oh shit, it's not working. And then we'd like focus on that for like 2 or 3 weeks. Why isn't it working? And it was just
Mm.
a waste of time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
there's a ton of potential songs in the scrap heap of the Teeth and Nails band practice room. I tell you what, it's definitely something that happens. Um, Sometimes you push through it, sometimes you just go, fuck it,
yeah.
move on. Speaking of moving on, can you please tell us, James, is there in terms of your drumming, is there a specific technique that you are practicing or working on improving at the moment?
Um, ooh, probably probably my flams, I'd say.
Okay.
This is going to be a funny story. So I'm very much self-taught. Um, I I went to one drum lesson and then I just decided there and then I was just like drum lessons aren't for me. So I kind of self-taught myself from there. Um, so I think the little yeah the sort of finesse, is that a word, finette? the finite sort of things, such as flams is a big one.
Sure.
A funny story for you will be is when we recorded our last EP, The Light of Day, with Scott Seabright. So we were recording one of the songs called Fall in Line, and Scott, who was also a drummer as well, he was the engineer. He was saying like, "Oh, your flams need to be wider apart," and like
Okay.
I kept playing it, I kept playing it, and then eventually it got to the point where I was just like, I don't know what you mean. It's just like, oh, well, your flams need to be wider apart. And then there's just a silence. And then I just go, what's a flam? It's really embarrassing. And it's just like, oh, it's when your two sticks are like, they hit the drum at the same time, but not quite at the same time. I was just like, ah, oh, okay. And I learned what a flam was, and that's after fucking 20 years of drumming,
Sure.
and it's not that I didn't pay attention or anything. I just, you know, growing up and teaching myself, purely just by listening to music, I just didn't fucking even like have a chance of hearing what it was. Yeah. So
Sure.
yeah, after 20 years, I learned what a flam was. Yeah. So
Sure. Well, it's a real thing, man. Some guys really give a fuck about that kind of thing. Like me, I like knowing the terminologies and all that kind of business.
yeah,
Some guys just don't. You're not the only one that I've interviewed that was just like, I just do. I don't know what it's called. I just do. So,
yeah.
don't beat yourself up too bad about that. It's fine. Oh,
I, I,
yep.
I constantly. I mean, I've worked incredibly hard at drums. Like I think I kind of started maybe late. Um, Not starting until I was like 16 or 17, but I like constantly find myself in awe of the drummers that I get to see and play with. And I'm just constantly reminding myself, I'm just like, I'm not a real drummer compared to them. Like yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, Stefan from Pull Down the Sun is one of them. Like
Mm,
I constantly watch him, and I'm just like, the guy's that's like a real drummer. And
mm.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. Like it drives me. I'm just like,
You know where
I would
you're at.
like to. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I feel you on that, bro. I didn't start drumming until I was 19. I first picked up a pair of drumsticks, didn't start taking it seriously until I was 21, 22. And I'm fully self-taught as well. So I see guys
Oh,
like,
cool.
yeah, right. It is similar boat. I see guys like Stu from Plague of the Fallen, who's one of my favorite drummers in the country, or Kuda from Blindfolded, or like Sean Anderson, or fucking Jamie St. Murad, all these guys, Levi Sheehan, all these guys who are these insane fucking metal drummers, and I don't hold a candle to them, and it pushes and drives me. But at the same time, like I know where my level is. I know where I'm at, and I've made my peace with that. I still try and push it, but I know where I'm at. So I absolutely feel you on that, bro. 100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think. I mean, I think I kind of make up for it in terms of live performance. That's what I've always prided myself on, is just live performance. I definitely consider myself an entertainer more than, I don't know if it sounds stupid. I consider myself an entertainer more than a musician sometimes. Like I'm quite an energetic player. Um, so I'm probably kind of talking down on myself, but at least comparing myself to other drummers. But I think you have these different aspects that you sort of align to, and like the entertainment side and how you come across has been a big one to me. as opposed to the musicianship, which I also try to pride myself on. But yeah, I think playing live, like that's where I'm best suited, I think. Yeah.
Sure,
Anyway,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. All right, moving on there, James. So now we come to a part of the show that I call first, last, best, and worst. So this is where you tell us about the first show that you ever played, the last gig that you had, the best show that you played. Now that's open to interpretation, and also worst show that you've ever had played, which is also open to interpretation. We'll get to that in just a minute. Kicking us off, please, James. What is the first show that you ever played?
Mm. First show I ever played was King's Arms when I was 17.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
to sneak in. Yeah, my step my stepmom's nephew, who's a drummer, he was just like, the best thing you can do is play in a band. Like that's the best way to learn to play drums. So I joined a
Yeah.
band when I was like 2 years into playing drums, and I was 17, and I joined this metal band who was like super Tool influenced,
Okay.
and we were so shit. Like it was the music was so bad, but nonetheless, yeah, I had to sneak into King's Arms and yeah, play this show, and yeah, that was the first one.
Sure. What about the last show that you played?
Last show was at Ding Dong Lounge in Auckland.
Okay.
Um, that was supporting Living State. Yeah, that was oh God, I feel like I don't want to give details, but it got shut down early.
Oh no.
Uh, yeah, which was, I mean, brings on another story. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna, yeah, like, there's a reason why, yeah, it got shut down. But it was kind of funny because we released a single in September the year before called Cocaine Eyes, and to sort of promote it, we had these little bags of cocaine, not cocaine, but like flour
Okay.
with a with a with a with like a barcode on that you could scan, and and when you scanned it, it took you to the song.
Okay.
And so like the September of the year before, we put it in all these bathrooms of all these bars around Auckland, and then we played this show at Ding Dong Lounge, and the bar manager found it, and we got kicked out. Um, pretty much right after our gig. So, but I mean,
Oh,
it got the reaction that we wanted, but.
oh, that. Oh, that's
But
wonderful.
it was kind of funny because then we played this show with Living State, and I think it was like March of this year, and then somebody from Living State, they tried to let people underage into the gig, and then it got shut down, and I was just like, well, fuck, at least it wasn't us this time.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
That's fucking hilarious. Oh, great job. Great job. Great job.
Nothing against Ding Dong Lounge, awesome venue, yeah,
Mm,
great
yeah.
people, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, moving on from that, can you tell us about the best show that you've ever played, please, James? Now, this can be the best that you've ever played live, because I know we as drummers are very critical of how we perform on the night. It can be the best band that you were supporting, or the best bands that you played with. It can be the best audience. It's really open to interpretation. Please.
I think the best show that we've ever played was our single release show for Cocaine Eyes at Ding Dong Lounge last year at September, because up until sort of July, it had just been me and Conrad, and then Nathan Salter, our producer, had really pushed us to get another member in the band, and because we'd been putting a lot of production into the songs and stuff, and so when it came to talking about like potentially getting a bass player, um, I'd recommended my friend, well, both me and Conrad, our friend, Phil Powell. And to be honest, like we didn't even know how good he was at bass. But I'm sure, as you know, like, being in a band is like a marriage and it's a family. Like, you've got to have that click.
Mm.
So that was my first port of call. I was just like, well, it's got to be Phil, you know? Um, and so that was sort of Phil's, not his first show, but like one of his first shows. And that was a show that we played and just everything clicked when we were playing. Like, it was just like, it just, it just felt good, and it just felt awesome. And that was one of the best shows like we've ever played. Like, yeah, like it just, the three of us clicking and we were in the pocket. And that was probably the first time I was just like, yeah, like the three of us together, you know, this is what makes us as a band, and that was one of my best shows. And I mean, me and Conrad, we've done all sorts of shows. I mean, we've together we've opened for Shehad, we've opened for Pluto, we've done these huge shows, and that show in front of, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 people, that was the best show. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
That was the show. I was just like, we're a band, and we are a band. We're the three of us, we've got history, not just as being friends, but I consider us as a brotherhood,
Mm.
we're brothers, and that's something that we all hold closely. And that show, I think in particular in Auckland, that was when I think we realized, this is what the Sun Gods is. It's a band and we're a brotherhood. And yeah, it was something special to us. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I could not agree more. Just like
Yeah.
real brothers, though, you don't always agree and you don't always like each other and you don't always find each other on the same page, but it all comes together at the end. So, yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely agree.
for sure, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, the flip side of that, James, is the worst show that you've ever played. And now this can be the worst that you've played, of course. This can be the funniest thing that has happened to you on stage. You've already mentioned the cocaine bags, so we'll look outside of that. This can be the worst environment. It can be the worst thing that happened. It's again open to interpretation. Please.
Ooh, I think probably the worst show. Uh, I think probably in Hamilton. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was just one of these shows where it just went dreadfully wrong. Just the sound was bad. Uh, I no, actually no, I got a better one. Sorry, sorry. We played a show in Wellington. This is me and Conrad. And this is 2007 or 8 or something. Um, so it's one of those shows. I think it was at Bodega, and I think they've got two stages there. So you go back and forth between bands. Everyone just quickly gets their shit together and sort of lines up and plays a show. So like we went on stage and there was a mic sort of on the ground, but Conrad couldn't see it. And Conrad kept standing on it. So we were playing a show, and like every time Conrad would stand on it, you'd just hear this boom.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh
And then
no.
the worst thing was Jason Kerrison from Op Shop was in the crowd, and we could just see him just going like, oh. He was just like, this band is so terrible. And we're like, we're not that bad. It's that mic on the ground. And
Oh.
then we remembered, he's from Op Shop, so we didn't really care. So.
Oh, no comment. Oh,
Um,
awesome. Well, thank you so
yeah,
much.
I think that would be the worst show. Yeah, yeah, but also turned out to be the best show.
Yeah, sure. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you have any endorsements? Are you endorsed?
Unfortunately, not. I'd
No?
love to because I crack cymbals every fucking 5 minutes, so that would be really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
But no, I mean, I mean, I love, I, I, oh God, there's so many cymbal brands I love. I mean, I'm prone to Sabian purely because, that's what I started with was, especially because Shelton used, those sort of cymbals. And then I learnt that Stuart Copeland learnt pasty, and then I learnt that Abe Cunningham learnt he used Zildjian. So I mean, I love so many different cymbals. I'm not prone to one, um,
Sure.
but
Fair
yeah,
enough.
I'd love an endorsement from any of them.
Yeah, fuck yeah, absolutely. All right. Well,
Yeah,
moving on from that, James, if people want to find the Sun Gods, where would they go?
you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, um, Spotify, just the Sun Gods. I'm pretty sure we're the only the Sun Gods. Um, Bandcamp, uh, iTunes, yeah. Uh, where else am I thinking of? I'm sure there's lots of places.
Sure, sweet as. Well, James, we are now at the very last part of the show. This is where you get to make any plugs for any things coming up. You mentioned before we started recording, there's a gig that you guys are headlining coming up, I think. And
Yes.
make any shout outs to any people that you want to make shout outs to. James, sir, the floor is yours.
Yeah, we've got a show coming up July 6th at a Big Fan in Auckland. This will be our biggest headline show to date. So we need as many people as possible to fill the floor out if we can. And yeah, shout outs to I don't know, just my brothers and the Sun Gods, Phil, Conrad, um, and our producer Nathan Souter. Um, yeah, and particularly you, Ricky, for giving me this opportunity to be on your show, man. Yeah,
Oh,
I appreciate it.
oh, all good, bro. Well, I genuinely appreciate you being on my show. So thank you so much, James. This has been fucking wonderful.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I hope I've satisfied your metal heart.
Absolutely. Well, Chaos of the Rain,
Right.
Rain
Yeah.
is a fucking banger. Like it really is. Lots of like Riffarama type, maybe not Riffarama type shit, but in my mind, Riffarama type shit. It's a fucking banger, man. And so I can get past the clean vocals because the music is so fucking good. So no, I kid, of course. James, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being on my show, man. Thank you.
No, thank you, man. Look forward to talking to you in the future.
Fuck yes, absolutely. So, thank you so much to James for being here. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Drop Clutch episode 28 with me, Ricky V. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, brother.
In this series, I'm interviewing as many metal drummers from around the. Fuck. Well, that was fucking terrible. Hold on. Ah, Jesus, that's a long time since that's happened. Okay. Okay. Here we go. We're good. Kia ora, boys and
Find your
girls.
spirit.
Sorry, bro.
I was gonna say, find your spirit animal, bro. You're good.
Spirit animal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. All right. All right. Dumb. Fuck. Kia ora, boys and girls. Welcome to another.